is Anne Marie LaValle, and I will be giving my final collection development project presentation. For this presentation, I have picked two topics to mainly focus on. First, middle school, because I do have a middle school background, and I did my 100 hours there, so I kind of have a little bit more stability in knowing what needs to go on for the library. And then I also picked social studies because along with my elementary school degrees, I also have a middle school add-on for social studies. So for my 12 to 15 topics, I have the list here to show you. I had vocabulary, the EBSCO database, National Geographics, which is one I'll talk to you about, EasyBib.com, World Book Online, Gale database. I put books, but in my thing I had them cut into two different categories of fiction and nonfiction, which I listed some books to go with them. Makerspace starter kit, because the libraries I've been in haven't had makerspaces, so I decided to do the starter kit. And then the viewfinders, which also include buying not only the 30 viewfinders, but 30 cell phones and one iPad. Alright, so to start, it's National Geographics. The website itself is actually free, and it gives a lot of videos, lesson plans, articles, and other resources for you. But the $12 is for the actual magazine to come in. I decided that we needed to have the magazine in my school just because if there's students who do have social economics or like budget problems in their family or issues or no internet because the internet goes down, I figured having stuff in the library would be a benefit for them. So let me go to the website so I can show you some of the cool stuff. Okay, so this is the teacher resource page, which I just typed in National Geographic Education, which is how I got the site saved. So let's look through here a little bit. So it has a curriculum built in, lessons, units, activities, teacher resources. They have a list here. We'll go to lessons just to look at those so I can show you some of them. So you can decide what grade, what type, what subject we're going to do. So here are some of the lessons. I actually have it on high school, but that's okay. So it gives you some lessons down here that you can talk about. Pretty cool. If we decide to pick on one, so recording a dying language, it's a 10-minute documentary telling us about this person who's, so it talks about the dying language. So it has a nice little video, it's 10 minutes long. Down here it has background, some fast facts about it. And what I really like is vocabulary. Like vocabulary, which I had my first thing. This is actually taking over the middle school. They're going to get rid of vocabulary and just use these on here, which I think is pretty cool. They also have live seminars, which you can be active in. You can get subscription for them. They're actually free too. So that's one of my resources. So the next resource I want to talk about is Makerspaces. The starter kit that I looked at and put on my final thing was $200 for a circuitry kit and some Legos. I also wanted to add robots, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into Makerspaces. But for the project, it was just the $200 one. Makerspaces helps all kinds of students. It's more of a students are working on their own. They can do this on their own without either a group or without a teacher, though it's really good with teamwork. It helps build the community, and so it helps ELL students by making them work with a team with their group of students. It helps with IEP students because they're not just sitting in a classroom reading. they're actually out doing something. I connected this to social studies because you can use this with how the community comes together. So you can talk about community, you can talk about what resources would be needed to build certain items to make electricity and all that fun stuff. My last resource that I'm going to talk to you about is Viewfinders. I'm really excited to tell you about Viewfinders because when I was doing my student teaching for Zumwalt West, Miss Drake, the librarian there, just came into money to buy the Viewfinders. She went to a whole seminar and she was so excited about it, so I got to learn quite a few things. First off, if you want to do Viewfinders at your school, you have to do the 30 Viewfinders for a set. You have to have certain cell phones, like they have to be smartphones. And they have to have, I'm not quite sure what kind of gadgets and gadgets they have to have in them, but not every smartphone works. And then you have to have an overall, one iPad that controls everything, the master brain. So with the Viewfinders, you go on virtual tours. You can go see the pyramids in Egypt. You can go see caves. You can go to battlefields. They're really fun. And they have pre-made virtual tours for you. And the tours also have questions that students have to stop and see. As a teacher with the iPad, you actually will be able to see if students are following along or if they're not. Because you can do an individual type thing where the students get to go off on their own and tour the cities and all that. Or you can do a whole class so that everyone stays on the same exact page as you using their Viewfinders. If you have ELL students, you can buy these programs in different languages as well to help them along as well. And it makes history come alive so that you're not just sitting there reading a textbook over and over and just answering questions. So this would help with the IEP students who either have behavioral problems and they don't want to just sit there, they get fidgety, they want to act out when they're bored, or who have reading problems or comprehension problems. They're not just having to process the reading, they actually get to go do it. It's more hands-on. So let me show you some of the Viewfinders. Alright, so this is the Viewfinder site, Nearpod. And if you go down, they have some featured ones. So, students love virtual tours. You get to see, that's kind of what it is in cartoon form. But we'll go down here more. So, there's one that's not a cartoon where you get to look through everything. And you can use iPads, Chromebooks, Mac, PC, all the fun stuff. And then come down here more. There's some examples down here. So, say we're doing a lesson about caves. So, okay, here's the, sorry, my dog's trying to come in. Lesson on caves, so you get a little preview of this. If it loads. So here's some of, this is Egyptian caves. This is looking out into the ocean kind of cave. Then you got teacher notes that tell you what the lesson context is and how long it should be. This one would be 15 to 30 minutes. Have you ever been into a cave? So this gives you a poll. So if your students have, they get the choice. Lesson objectives. So it has a lot in here. Some facts. Has pictures. There's the virtual tour. So it's pretty fun. But that's my virtual tour. So that's the end of my final presentation. Thank you for joining me on the virtual tour looking at the makerspaces and National Geographic. I hope this benefits some of you. Goodbye.